Hey guys, welcome back to Pleasure Beach. Today, if you've seen the title of the video already, I'm building a wild mouse, and this one is going to be called Crazy Mouse. I've basically based this roller coaster on every wild mouse that you find around the whole world, and specifically a Mac one. Mac is a manufacturer that builds wild mouse. Not all the wild mouses are built by Mac, but this one I wanted to kind of give it that kind of feel that it was. So there is a few discrepancies against the real thing just because of the limitations of the game, but I'm just kind of working around it and trying to get it to look as best as I can. So in a way, this is kind of a recreation with my own little flair on it. So obviously the first thing to do is do the layout, so I'm just doing that now really quickly. And then I'm going to go in and do all the custom supports, make signs and station, that kind of thing. And I wanted to really make this look like it belonged in the Pleasure Beach, and that it wasn't just like a travelling attraction that's been just kind of plopped down in the middle of the park. So I'm really going to try and incorporate it into the area and make it look not so travel-like. So that's the layout now complete. I'm just going to go for a nice purple and yellow theme with the colour scheme. And I'm just making the supports white for now, just so I can do my own supports. If you make everything the same colour, it becomes really tricky to see what you've done. So that's why I've done them white there, and I'm going to start building in yellow. So I'm just going to do the main supports here for the hairpin curves there. There's two different types of supports for this bit. There's, from what I've noticed at theme parks, you have like the travelling version, which has more of like a scaffold looking kind of support. Or you have the kind of fixed version, like the one at Movie Park Germany, which has these big poles that kind of hold up each hairpin curve on the top of the ride. So that's what I'm going to go for with this one, because like I said, I didn't want it to look like it was too much of a travelling attraction. Cool, so moving on now to some catwalks. I'm just going to put them in the obvious places where the brake runs are, and the lift hill, and of course the block brakes. These kind of coasters actually use a lot of block brakes throughout the whole thing, so they can run multiple cars at once. So that is obviously something else that I've included into this attraction. So these coasters also have catwalks on the hairpin curves with emergency exit stairs. So that's also something that I'm going to build in. I believe in real life the stairs are spiral staircases, but as I said in another episode, that we don't actually have spiral staircases in the game. So I'll get to go for like a ladder kind of exit thing. So I'm just going to add that to each little platform on each part of the curves here at the top. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and start the big task of supporting the rest of the whole ride. This I'm going to be using just like a scaffold style support system. And I'm just using the pillars from the Architect set to do that. I find it easier to work in one direction when doing this kind of thing. So I do all the beams in one direction, and then I go in with another beam and do that direction. For instance, I'm doing all the vertical beams now, and then I'll go in and do all the horizontal beams going one way, and then I'll go back in after that with the ones going the other way. I found before when I've done this kind of thing that if I start doing big sections at once, then I get confused with which beam I put where and what's going on, and it becomes really unclear when building. So I like to just do each beam at a time basically. This takes quite a long time, I guess. It's not too bad, but once it's done it looks really cool. now it's time to go in and start removing the unwanted supports. I made a really big mistake here. I used the support killer from the Shy Guys 3 set to do this, and that piece it has like a collision problem. So if you want to place a path where you've put the support killer, then you can't place the path down or anything like that. And I put them all over this ride, and because they're invisible, you can't delete them because you can't see where they are. So I had a bit of a problem because I wanted to actually move this wild mouse just a little bit over to the right, and so I made a blueprint. And when I put it down, I realized that I had this big problem because of the support killer and everything. And then when building the queue line, I had this problem as well. So if you do this kind of thing and you want to get rid of the supports and save it as a blueprint, do the supports after at the end when you know where you want it, because I messed up with that kind of thing, and I should have just waited, and then once everything was built around it, then got rid of the supports. Anyway, you live and you learn, and I won't be doing that again. I'm kind of hoping there is a new support killer at some point that comes out that is collision friendly, or or just is easy to use and delete. So I'm going to make a little sign. This is just going to say Crazy Mouse. As you see on many Wild Mouse coasters, they have a sign above them, normally saying something like Crazy Mouse, Wild Mouse, Magic Mouse, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to create one of those and make it nice and colourful, and then I shall pop it down as a blueprint on top of the ride. I make it on the floor first because I just find it easier to do that and to save it as a blueprint than to build it up in the air. Now that is saved, it's time to place it down on top of the ride. Now I just have to connect it to the actual framework of the coaster. I'm happy with that. I think it looks kind of cool. So now I'm going to do a tunnel with a cat on the front of it. This is something that's on one of the Wild Mouses that travels the German fair circuit. And so I'm going to try and create that. The cat looks nothing like a cat, but you get the idea. And I'm just using different triangle pieces here just to kind of create something that looks fun and wacky. So there's some googly eyes, and I'm just going to use some different angled beams here to make some whiskers. And that's the crazy purple cat, and the tunnel there on the straight part of track. I have now actually moved the coaster as a blueprint over a bit. I didn't show that, but I have moved it I think it was maybe four tiles over. Now I'm just going to plot down where I want this building to go, which I'll build in the next episode. But I'm just kind of putting down some walls there just so I get an idea of where I want it. It's not the official shape of it. Now I wanted to create like a wall along the side of the coaster just to kind of break it up from this area, which will be like a nice seating area from the kind of path area, and actually where the coaster is. And I've seen this before on rides. I can name a couple. One is the, I actually don't know the name of it, but the Wild Mouse that's at Disney's California Adventure. It has like a wall kind of around it. And also the Wild Mouse Ghost Chaser at Movie Park Germany also has like a wall around it as well. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to create something like that. I've just kind of moved on now to do the station, but I'll go back to the wall because what I built first, when I opened the game up the next day, I hated what I did. I thought it was really bad. I think I just spent too long building this ride, and then when it got to that point, I was kind of happy with anything. So I deleted what I did and I did a new one which was a lot cleaner, so I'll show me deleting the old one and building the new wall in a minute, just when I've finished the station. I'm just doing a really basic station for this one. It doesn't have to be too crazy or anything, it's just a wild mouse and the trains are very small. As you can see, the very colourful wall there that I made with all the diagonal pieces. I really wanted it to be really like kind of psychedelic and cool, but it didn't really come across how I wanted it. So I'm just going to kind of keep the same idea, but just change it in a nice, cleaner way. So I'm going to use the mesh fence, this one in red, and kind of just make it get a little bit higher as it goes up. So there we go, I think that looks much better. I'm just going to add some little canopy there along the queue line, just to create areas of shade in case there was a large queue. And then it's basically the wild mouse done. I'll do a couple more little things to it just as the area around it is constructed. I will go in and do like a little transfer track and that kind of thing. That won't take too long. But basically that is the main part of the wild mouse complete, and I'm just going to leave you now with a couple screenshots. But I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all next time with another video. Bye!